Today we'll be sewing the Gus Steel Half Moon Bay Bag. You can use canvas, corduroy, or any mid-weight type fabric for the outside, and something a little lighter for the lining like quilting cotton or nylon or poly fabric. This is the perfect crossbody or shoulder bag with just enough space and pockets to keep things organized. For the bag, you will need 2 exterior bag pieces and the exterior front pocket. You will need 4 strap collar pieces, and the exterior gusset piece. You can cut that on the fold or as 2 pieces if you are using a directional fabric or just don't have the width. Out of the lining fabric, you will need the front and back bag pieces and the interior pocket piece, which is the same as the other 2 but includes markings for the Welt zipper pocket. I forgot to cut one piece that you will need, which is the lining of the front pocket. You should have one piece that looks almost like a half circle cut from your lining that I do not have here. You'll also need to cut a piece of fusible interfacing that's about 1.5 inches tall and 13 inches wide. Cut 2 zipper shed pieces for your zipper pocket, and cut 2 pieces that create your interior gusset. Cut 1 bottle holder pocket and, if you want to elasticize the top of the pocket, cut a piece of 1/4 inch elastic that's about 10 inches long. You'll also need some double fold binding. You can either make it yourself or buy it pre-made. For the interior pocket, you'll need 12 inches of zipper and a zipper pull. For the bag's outer zipper, you'll need 18 inches of zipper and a zipper pull. You can use pre-cut zippers or make your own. Be sure you have 2 yards of strap. You can do a bit less if you're shorter or want the bag to rest higher on your hip. And then you'll also need a D-ring and a strap slider. We'll start with reinforcing our interior zipper pocket by pressing on the interfacing. Once that's on, if you can't see your original markings for the Welt pocket, redraw them now. If you are using zipper by the yard, make sure you attach your zipper pull. Then we'll fold our zipper sheds in half with wrong sides together and decide on the placement. You'll want the folded edge of the zipper shed about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch inward from the end of the welt on each side. Clip them in place on the zipper, then baste them there so you can install it. The first trick to any good welt is to cut precisely. That Y shape at the ends of the line should be identical top and bottom, the same angle and the same length. Do your best, but this welt is pretty easy to get great results on, so even if it's not perfect, it will still work great and look nice. Plus, it's hidden on the interior of the purse. Once the welt is cut, you'll fold the opening you just made back towards the wrong side and press it neatly. Use a pressing cloth or parchment paper to avoid getting the interfacing glue on your hot plate. Once that's done and you're happy with the corners of the welt, place your zipper face down onto the wrong side of the fabric and line up the zipper sheds evenly on each end, making sure the zipper is arranged neatly in the welt. Pin it in place. You can trim the zipper now or after it's sewn, that's up to you. Then, using a zipper foot, we'll just sew around the welt, securing the zipper in place. To finish creating the pocket, put your newly sewn welt pocket piece on top of the right side of the interior lining piece and clip them together. To keep all the pieces neat and tidy, as we create the bag, I like to sew these two pieces together now with an 1/8 inch seam allowance around the bottom curve. Now we'll create the bottle pocket. Fold the top edge over 3/8 of an inch and press it. Then fold it over an additional 3/8 inch and press it again. Now just top stitch the hem. If you want to make the top of the bottle pocket stretchy, you can thread your length of elastic through the hem. Once you get it mostly through, stitch over the first end a few times to keep it in place. Finish threading it through and pull the elastic as tight as you'd like and tack that second end in place. Clip off the excess elastic. Now to make the corners. Fold each of those right angles at the bottom of the pocket against each other with right sides together. Clip in place. When you sew these corners, be sure to leave at least a 1/4 inch unsewn. You can measure and mark it with a ruler before you start. Sew the corners with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, then, for extra security, go ahead and sew them again with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. This will minimize fraying and make the pocket a little sturdier. Now that the bottle pocket is done, we'll put together the 3 pieces that make the interior gusset. First, lay the largest piece of the gusset down with the right side up. Then, with the right side of the bottle pocket touching the right side of the gusset, clip that straight edge together. Now, with the right side of the last gusset piece facing downward so that it is also right sides together with the first piece, add it to the clips at that straight edge. Sew across the edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then unfold the gusset so that everything is right sides up and switch to a 1/8 inch seam allowance to sew the bottle pocket edges to the gusset. You can see the 3 lines of stitches I've made. Now we'll work on the exterior front pocket. First, we'll sew the exterior piece to the liner. This is the piece I was missing in the intro to the video. You'll put these pieces wrong sides together. Note that the liner is slightly shorter than the exterior piece. Sew around the curve with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now we'll press the hem for the exterior pocket. Fold it over toward the lining once at a 1/2 inch and press. Then again another 1/2 inch and press. You'll be folding it over the edge of the lining the second time. Top stitch the hem down. Place the exterior pocket lining on the right side of the exterior bag and line it up on the bottom curve. Sew around that curve again with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now you can decide how you want to divide the exterior pocket, making it into 1, 2, or 3 sections. I'm just going to divide it in half, and I'm marking it by folding it. Starting at the top of the pocket, sew down the line with a straight stitch. Now, go back to the top of the pocket and create a bar tack to reinforce the stitches. Let's move on to the zipper. If it's not already there, slide your zipper pull onto the zipper tape. Now, with the right side of the zipper against the right side of the exterior front, clip the zipper in place along the curve. Once you've got that done, add the lining piece. This is the one without the pocket, to the clips with the lining and the exterior bag piece with right sides together. This makes it so that your zipper is sandwiched between the lining and the outer. Sew the curve using a zipper foot. Go slowly and move the zipper tab out of the way as needed. Go ahead and trim the zipper now on each end. This part can get a little tricky, so I recommend checking your work before you sew anything. You're going to repeat what you just did with the first side of the zipper again. So, clip your back exterior piece to the right side of the zipper. Then add the lining into the clips, again with the right side of the lining and the right side of the exterior back together. Now, with the clips in place, fold the bag right side out to make sure you've got it right. If you've got something switched, go back through the video or written instructions until you have it figured out. Once you've got it, go ahead and sew that curve too. To make sure your zipper runs smoothly up and down the teeth, we'll top stitch the bag to the zipper tape. Press it first from both sides. And then go ahead and top stitch on each side of the zipper. You can skip this step, but I find it helpful. Simply lay the bag out with all the front pieces together and all the back pieces together respectively. Clip around each curve, then sew with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Next, we'll add the strap collars to the gusset and gusset lining. Go ahead and place a strap collar at each end of the gusset with right sides together. Clip those in place, then add the gusset liner to the clips with the right sides of both gussets together, sandwiching the strap collar in between on either side. Sew the short ends. Now we'll attach the strap collars to the bag. Line the 2 remaining strap collars up at either end of the zipper with right sides together. Clip them in place and sew across the strap collar. Go back and add several back and forth stitches over the zipper teeth at each end to stabilize and reinforce the zipper. Now we'll turn the gusset right side out and attach it to the bag. Work on one side at a time. Match up the strap collars and then continue along the curve, matching and clipping as you go. Once you get to the other end, you may find you need to adjust the gusset a bit so that it fits perfectly. Take your time easing the gusset into the curve of the bag. Then repeat the same thing on the other side. Sew around the curve on each side of the gusset with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure you've captured all the layers of the bag. Now we'll add the binding to neatly finish those interior seams. Simply slide the folded binding over the edge of the seams you just created, clipping as you go. You can leave a little extra at either end. We'll cut that off later. Now, sewing close to the free edge of the binding, making sure that you catch the binding both on top and bottom, sew the binding to the bag, enclosing the interior seams. Trim off any excess binding. Now we'll work on the strap. Cut an 8-inch piece of strap from your yardage and slide the D-ring onto it, then fold it in half. With the bag inside out, push the folded strap through one of the strap collars so that the raw edges come through about 2 inches. Sew across the strap collar with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Sew over that line of stitches several times. Then, if you want some added security, sew several more lines of stitching with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now with the remaining strap, thread it through the strap slide and fold over the raw edge about 1 inch. Then, fold the folded edge over again with the strap slide trapped within. Now sew the strap to itself. You can do this with a few straight lines or a box and X shape if you prefer. Now we'll turn the bag mostly right side out, but leave the remaining strap collar inside out. Thread the loose end of the strap through the D-ring, then over and around the long strap until you get to the strap slide. Thread it through the strap slide again, right over the strap that's already there. Now from the inside of the bag, thread the loose strap up through the strap collar, leaving about 2 inches again. Sew across the edge of the strap collar just like you did before with several securing lines of stitches. Finish turning the bag right side out. Then pull the tails of strapping through the collars and trim them off neatly. And you're done.